What is going on, guys? Jesse here. So the AirPods Pro have been pretty much the go-to set of premium wireless noise canceling earbuds that I think most people tend to lean towards, at least if you're on the Apple side of things. And I think Android has been missing a good equivalent to that, at least until now with the new Google Pixel Buds Pro. So with this latest iteration of the Pixel Buds, Google have added a lot of great features and even taken some design cues from the AirPods Pro that I think made these so great for me. And I'm finally glad to see a lot of these features in another set of earbuds. And if you guys didn't know, the AirPods Pro have been my daily driver earbuds pretty much since they came out in 2019. And that was even while I was daily driving a Galaxy S8, which I know on paper sounds really stupid, and in a lot of ways it is, but I think the AirPods Pro just addressed a lot of the issues I had with other earbuds that I couldn't really find a better answer to, at least until the Pixel Buds Pro came along. And I think they address a lot of those issues in the same way as the AirPods Pro, and maybe even does it a little bit better in some ways. So we're going to be comparing these in this video, but before we get into that, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Skillshare. So if you haven't heard about Skillshare yet, I don't know where you've been, but it is the online learning community where there are thousands of classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. And in fact, I've been a longtime user of Skillshare since way before they reached out for this sponsorship, and a lot of the skills that I use for this YouTube channel every single day, I learned on Skillshare. And one of my favorite courses was by the man himself, MKBHD, on YouTube Success, where he goes through start to finish on how he produces a YouTube video. And it's not just for people trying to become YouTubers, of course. There are thousands of courses with everything from mastering productivity with Thomas Frank to the basics of singing with Gabriel. So whether you're interested in making a career pivot or trying to level up in your current role, Skillshare has got you covered. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested, the first 1,000 people to use that link in my description box below are going to get their first month of Skillshare free. Seriously guys, check them out. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is going to be comfort. And I just want to preface this by saying that I've tried a lot of earbuds, and for the most part, they all seem to be jam-packed with features and great sound quality, but usually at the expense of being just very large in the ear, which for me causes a lot of discomfort over like 1 or 2 hours of listening. And one of the things I liked so much about the AirPods design was actually that it had a stem, which I know a lot of people were memeing these when they first came out, saying that they looked like a toothbrush, but I think functionally they actually do have a purpose in making the part that actually goes into your ear much smaller than one without a stem, because you're able to fit a lot of the components in this portion where it's not sitting inside of the ear. And I think that just makes a night and day difference as far as comfort goes, and for me has made these the most comfortable earbuds that I've tried. And if you've watched any of my other earbud comparisons in the past, you know that comfort plays a pretty major role in my buying decision for a pair of earbuds, because to me it just doesn't really matter how good they sound or what features they have if they physically hurt to be in your ears, because at the end of the day that's all I'm ever going to be thinking about, and it doesn't matter, you know, how good those features are if they're not in your ears. However, one of the things that I was pleasantly surprised with on the Pixel Buds was just how comfortable they were. Like, usually when earbuds are just this kind of blob shape with the ear tip sticking out, they tend to be very large, and again, like I was saying earlier, cause a lot of discomfort after wearing them for an hour or two. Well, with the Pixel Buds, they fit pretty much perfectly into my ears, and I found that I could wear them for just as long, if not even longer than the AirPods Pro in some cases. And remember how I was talking about the Pixel Buds taking some design cues from the AirPods Pro? Well, one of the issues with silicone ear tip designs in general is that they cause this kind of stuffed up, plugged feeling when you jam them in your ears. And one of the things that the AirPods Pro do to combat this is having these ventilation ports on the side that kind of equalize the pressure, which for whatever reason I haven't seen in any other earbud until the Pixel Bud Pro. Google even says that they put some pressure sensors inside of here to monitor that and equalize it accordingly, and I have no way of checking that, but I will say that I think it definitely does work, and I'm really glad to see that finally in another set of earbuds. So the other main reason that the AirPods Pro were my daily drivers for the past couple of years is the case, because to me the case makes just as much of a difference as the buds themselves and the whole experience of using them as a product, especially when it comes to size. And just compared to pretty much everything else that was out on the market at the time, the AirPods Pro case was just so much smaller and more portable, which to me makes a huge difference in just the ease of use, because again, it doesn't really matter how good they sound if they're just sitting at home because they can't fit in my pocket. Now, putting the Pixel Buds case next to the AirPods Pro case, you can see that they're actually pretty much the same size. Now, the Pixel Buds case might be a tad thicker and larger in certain dimensions, but practically it makes pretty much no difference, which I was again very, very pleasantly surprised with. Now, maybe even more important than that though is how satisfying these are to open and close, because these are also kind of fidget toys. And the Pixel Buds Pro case is very satisfying. Like, the magnet in here is especially strong, so it just gives such a satisfying snapshot, and along with just being overall very well built. And the AirPods Pro case up until this point have been the undisputed reigning champs, and I think it is still very satisfying, but I think the Pixel Buds Pro case is just as nice. So very happy about that. The only weird quirk, I guess, with the Pixel Buds Pro case is that it can be kind of hard to get the buds out of the case a lot of times, just because the way that they're shaped, it's a little bit hard to get a good grip on these, and I find myself slipping a lot. And also the matte finish on the outside of the case does kind of get marks a lot easier than the AirPods Pro case does. And usually you can wipe them off with a little bit of like water or something in your thumb, but I just thought I should mention that. And I think also the buds themselves, they have a matte finish on them, and if your ears are a little bit oily, they're definitely going to show on here, which can get a little gross, and I don't think it should be a deal breaker for anybody. I just thought I'd mention it. These also both of course have wireless charging, but the AirPods Pro case used Lightning for the wired connection versus USB-C on the Pixel Buds Pro, so of course got a dock some points for that. And as far as battery life goes, the Pixel Buds Pro definitely win here as well, with 11 hours in the buds and 31 hours with the case, while the AirPods Pro you get 4.5 hours in the buds and 24 hours with the case. Now, I will say though, I've never had an issue with the AirPods Pro as far as battery life goes, because I usually don't have my earbuds in for that long anyways, but I think in the case of battery life, more is always better, so win for the Pixel here. Okay, so now let's talk about features, and both of these are pretty competitively matched, with both of them offering most of the same features, but maybe just in different ways. So first, let's talk about media controls. So the AirPods Pro have these kind of pressure sensitive pads on either side of the stem, and all you have to do is squeeze them to activate the media controls. And to this day, these are still probably my favorite form of media controls on any earbud that I've tried. The Pixel Buds, on the other hand, have these touch sensitive pads on the sides, and I don't really like these for a couple of reasons. The first one just being that when you're actually using them and tapping them while you're in your ear, it just kind of jams them further and further down into your ear, and also makes a really just unpleasant kind of bass drum type of sound in your ear that I just am not a big fan of. And the other reason is accidental presses. So because there's only one surface, it's really easy to accidentally brush this and just pause your music when you don't mean to, which I'm not a fan of either. And that doesn't really happen on the AirPods Pro because you have to have pressure on both sides of the stem. It's pretty much impossible to accidentally press. Now, I will say though, on the second point with the accidental touches, the Pixel Buds Pro are a little bit better than most other earbuds with this style of touch control, but I will say it's still definitely there, and I would much rather them find just some other way to do it. These also both have active noise cancellation, which the AirPods Pro have been very strong in since they've been released, and the Pixel Buds Pro are just as good, if not even a little bit better. So with noise cancellation, of course, we've also got transparency mode, which it'll pump in sound so you don't have to take the earbuds out to hear what's going on around you. And I think on this front, the AirPods Pro definitely still have the edge here by a pretty healthy margin, just in terms of how clear and natural everything sounds. Now with the Pixel Buds, you can still definitely hear everything that's going on around you, but it just sounds a little bit more muffled and a little bit more artificial and processed here. So gotta give the win to the AirPods here. Now, last feature I want to talk about before we get into the mic test is going to be multi-point connection. And the AirPods Pro can connect to multiple Apple devices at a time and intelligently switch between them based on which one you're actually listening to. And I think for the most part, it works really well. I like that you don't have to connect it manually to all these different devices before you're allowed to do that. But I will say it's also very annoying. If the earbuds connect to the wrong device, it's really, really difficult to connect to the correct device. Like if you're using your MacBook and your iPhone at the same time and you want to connect to your iPhone, but then it connects to your MacBook for whatever reason, it's very, very difficult to bring it back to the iPhone because it'll say it's already connected and you just can't really do anything about it. Now with the Pixel Buds on the other hand, you also have multi-point connection, but you have to manually connect it to all of the different devices that you want to use it with. And it just works via Bluetooth, which is nice because you're not kind of tethered to Apple devices, but at the same time, I think it's just not as smooth and seamless as the AirPods experience. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's do the mic test now. Okay, so the audio you're hearing now is coming from the mics on the AirPods Pro, and yeah, this is what they sound like. Let me know how you think it is, and next we'll go to the Pixel Buds Pro. And now the audio you're hearing is coming from the mics on the Pixel Buds Pro. Let me know how you think they sound in comparison to the AirPods Pro. Let me know which one you like better or worse. Yeah, that's what they sound like. All right, so that was the sound test, and you can decide for yourself which one you like the sound of better. And with that out of the way, let's talk about the audio quality on these two earbuds. And I gotta say, overall, I think both of these sound pretty good, but neither are really gonna blow your socks off. And I think which one you're gonna like better just comes down to personal preference. And no surprise here, I think the area that the AirPods Pro really come out ahead in here is going to be clarity in the mid-range. And stuff that usually lives in that range is gonna be vocals, and you're just gonna be able to hear those a lot more clearly in the AirPods Pro than the Pixel Buds. And that's great, but you're definitely missing those lower frequencies that really give the sound a lot more body and just a lot more richer, fuller sound overall. And that's where I think the Pixel Buds Pro come in. These pretty much have the opposite problem as the AirPods Pro, where they do have that really rich, deep low end, but they are kind of missing that clarity in the vocals. And these are going to deliver those satisfying deep bass hits that the AirPods Pro really are lacking, and in songs that do have a lot of that, it does make a very significant difference. But again, just at the sacrifice of that mid-range. So at the end of the day, I think both of these are really great options, and which one you end up going for is just going to be personal preference. And a lot of the things that I really loved about the AirPods Pro that made them my daily drivers in the first place are also present in the Pixel Buds Pro. Like, I just can't really find any deal breakers in this, so I think it's a pretty easy recommendation to make as well. And I don't say this often, but I think the decision of which one you want to go for is really just going to come down to, well, one, do you use an iPhone or Android? But also, which one you like the sound of better. If you like more bass, go for the Pixel Buds. If you like more clarity in the vocals, go for the AirPods Pro. But ultimately, I think you're going to be pretty happy with your decision either way. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you liked it, sub if you loved it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.